Just days after the 47th president's widely watched smackdown of Ukrainian President Zelenskyy in the Oval Office, Mexico, Canada, China, and Europe move into the president's sights. Friday, a show of strength and a message to Ukraine and to Europe. Pony up or America walks.
You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having
not
cards.
Playing cards.
Right now, you don't.
You're
playing cards.
Mr. President.
You're playing cards.
Serious.
You're gambling with the lives of
anymore.
millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. That's back to you. Far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Now, Mexico, Canada, and China await Trump's promised tariffs this upcoming Tuesday for their failure to end the flow of deadly fentanyl into America, which has claimed hundreds of thousands of American lives. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has even gone as far as raising the prospect of U.S. troops on the ground in Mexico to take on the deadly drug cartels. But first, President Trump will impose a 25% tariff on both Mexico and Canada and another 10% tariff on China, taking its planned tariff to China to 20% after an initially announced 10% last month, all beginning this upcoming Tuesday. President Trump is also planning to implement reciprocal tariffs on April 2nd on all other countries deemed by the administration to have been treating the United States unfairly. Among the countries the White House is targeting, India, Japan, and the European Union, with the EU facing a U.S. response beyond just unfair trade, but to reciprocate against Europe's VAT tax and its fees and lawsuits against American companies. Joining me now in this Sunday Morning Futures exclusive is the nation's Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick. Secretary, great to have you this morning. Thanks so much for being here.
Great to be here, Maria.
Well, Secretary, you were sitting across from the president on Friday. Before we get to tariffs, I want to get your reaction to what went down. How was it in the room? And do you believe Democrats were egging on Zelenskyy to not say thank you, to stay tough and not sign that rare earth minerals deal?
No, so we were 40 minutes before the cameras came in and 45 minutes before the meltdown. And the fact was Zelenskyy never stopped asking for, I will give no concessions. They've got to leave my land. I want reparations of $300 billion. And I want the United States to give me security guarantees while they're at war with Russia. And that's why the president called it World War III. You're gambling with World War III. We're not going to give you security guarantees while you're at war with Russia. It's just ridiculous. His requests were ridiculous. They were not reasonable. The president let it go for a while, he was there to make peace. Our president is there to make peace. As he said, end the death. And Zelenskyy was not there to make peace. He was there to strike some sort of make-believe bargain that he had in his mind. And eventually that just ran its course. And Donald Trump said, I can't take this nonsense anymore, and made it crystal clear he's the peacemaker. And if Zelensky's not interested in peace, then he should go home and think about it.
And that's what happened. He was asked to leave. I don't know exactly the language President Trump used, but he said, get the heck out of here. Do you think that Zelenskyy had met with Democrats before meeting with Trump, and basically they told him, stay firm, don't give in to anything, don't do the rare earth minerals deal?
I can't imagine that. I hope not. I mean, that would be dreadful. So the fact is the president just wants to make peace. He tried to make peace. We had a beautiful lunch arranged. We had a signing, tables all set up. This was designed to be beautiful, right? And instead we had lunch by ourselves without the Zelenskyy crowd there, because they just did not come for peace. And our president's there, as he said, to end the death and to create peace. And that's who Donald Trump is, and he knows how to do it. He even said, you have to be reasonable to Putin. You can't say, Putin's a terrorist and then call the guy up and try to make peace with him. So you have to play balanced. Donald Trump knows how to be mediator. He knows how to arbitrate this, and he needs Zelenskyy on side, and Zelenskyy needed to hear it directly from the funding mouth of the United States of America. We're not going to give you money unless you're here for peace.
And now we've got the tariffs beginning on Tuesday against Mexico, Canada, and China. China has already said it's going to retaliate. Are you expecting American goods prices to go higher in the short term, given the fact that this looks like a fight here as well?
Well, look, we cared about two things, right? The March 4th is about the border, and both Mexico and Canada have done a reasonable job on the border. They're both working hard on the border. You know, we've had the lowest crossings ever under Donald Trump because of his ability to negotiate with Canada and Mexico. But the fentanyl continues to come into this country and continues to murder our people. And the ingredients are made in China. They're sent to Mexico and Canada, and then they come and attack our country, and that's got to end. So the president's been crystal clear on those 2 points. They have done a lot, so he's sort of thinking about right now how exactly he wants to play it with Mexico and Canada, and that is a fluid situation. There are going to be tariffs on Tuesday on Mexico and Canada. Exactly what they are, we're going to leave that for the president and his team to negotiate, and obviously I'm talking to him all the time to discuss what that's going to be on Tuesday. But China's got to stop making these ingredients. Remember, in 2019, the Chinese told President Trump at that time that they would put the death penalty on anybody who made fentanyl. And today, they're giving the maximum subsidy they possibly can to the people making those ingredients. So the Chinese need to stop this murder of Americans, and Donald Trump is the only president who protects the American people.
Well, it sounds like President Trump knows exactly his customer in China and is dealing with that. But in terms of Mexico and Canada, what I think I hear is there is some room here. Maybe 25% tariff doesn't go into effect on Tuesday. Maybe he's able to negotiate it down, given that they have shown some willingness to help on the border.
They've done a very reasonable job on the border. I mean, I spoke to Tom Homan yesterday, and he was very optimistic about the kind of work that Mexico and Canada are doing on the border, lowest crossings ever. So in that regard, they've done an excellent job, but they just haven't moved on the fentanyl deaths in America, and that's one of those key things, protecting the lives of Americans. So the president is thinking about it. I think there are going to be tariffs on Tuesday on Mexico and Canada. Exactly what they're going to be, I'm going to leave that for the president to decide. He's got great advisors. I'm obviously at the table with him, and so are others. He's going to think about it. He's going to put them into place on Tuesday. You know, the Canadians and the Mexicans have been talking to him. I think China's set. They either end these subsidies, and they end making these ingredients from fentanyl, or he's going to put tariffs on there. And if they think they're going to retaliate, remember, they have so much more that they sell to us than we sell to them. It's not even close that this is not a battle that we're ever going to lose. And the president knows it. He does have the cards, and he's going to protect Americans.
Secretary, what about others and these reciprocal tariffs? You've been tasked with this job to study what reciprocal tariffs look like. When you look at Europe, are we talking about a tariff much higher than 25% because you're including the VAT tax and also all these other things that you've talked about before? It's not just about trade when it comes to Europe, is it?
Well, there's two things going on. Number one, there's reciprocity. Right? They have a VAT tax and they have a tariff on cars. So 10% on cars plus, and all sorts of other products. Plus they have all these non-tariff barriers where we can't sell our hairdryers there, but they can sell their hairdryers here. This nonsense has got to end. So that's reciprocity. And then number two, the president has called out cars. He's called out semiconductors. He's called out pharmaceuticals. He's called out copper, steel, and aluminum. You know, he is focused on bringing manufacturing back to America, and he's going to make sure it comes back. So we want cars made here. We're going to reinvigorate Michigan. We're going to reinvigorate Ohio. This president is totally focused on building America back, and we're going to use tariffs to create fairness so our farmers can finally imagine India has 1.4 billion people, and they won't let us sell our agricultural products there. This nonsense has got to end. Imagine Modi came to America and in the kindness of his heart, he cut the Kentucky bourbon tariff from 150% all the way down to 100%. I mean, come on. We need fairness, and we need the strength of Donald Trump to make the world reasonable to America and stop picking us off. It's over. Donald Trump's going to end it and make the world trade fairly with America, finally.
Secretary, before you go, real quick, how worried should we be about an economy that is slowing in all of this? We saw the GDP last week. There are new worries that the Wall Street Journal wrote about, worries mounting that the Trump agenda testing economy's resilience. The Lindsay Group out with a report, can Doge induce a recession? Are any of these moves worrying you that we're actually going to see it cut into growth over the near term negatively?
No. So let's, the Commerce Department runs the statistics of GDP. The governments historically have messed with GDP. They count government spending as part of GDP. So I'm going to separate those two and make it transparent. That lower government spending, it's one thing, it goes like this. If the government buys a tank, that's GDP. But paying 1,000 people to think about buying a tank is not GDP. That is wasted inefficiency, wasted money, and cutting that while it shows in GDP, we're going to get rid of that. We're going to show you how that is. But I'll remember this. When we balance the budget of the United States of America, interest rates are going to come smashing down. When he produces the energy that is necessary, energy prices are going to come smashing down. Inflation is going to come smashing down, and our economy is going to explode. This is going to be the best economy anybody's ever seen, and to bet against it is foolish.
And Secretary, real quick on other deals the president is working on. I know you've looked at the Panama Canal. Can you tell us where you are in that and what it looks like in terms of U.S. interests in the Panama Canal?
I mean, imagine this. So we give the Panama, we spend in current dollars $1 trillion, and 38,000 Americans lose their lives to malaria to build the Panama Canal. Jimmy Carter gives it to them, but says they cannot favor any nation. And then Panama leases both mouths to the Chinese. The Chinese are building bridges over it. So our military and our ships have to go under a Chinese bridge. And then if you drive across or you ride in one of these barges across the Panama Canal and look at both sides, 70% of every letter and every word is Chinese. Wow. They sold out to the Chinese. The president is absolutely right. For national security, the Panama Canal needs to be ours and our protection. And the president's going to protect America, and he's going to protect shipping, and he's going to help do it. And so you should expect the Panama Canal eventually to come back under our oversight, because we need to protect ourselves. And the fact that they sold out to the Chinese is ridiculous.
Okay. Secretary, it's great to have you this morning. A lot of information, and we so appreciate your time, sir. Thank you. We'll be watching your work.
Love being here. Thanks.
Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. Thank you, sir.